One time for your mind. It's the Capital City Podcast back in effect. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about people selling their catalogs lately. And when you sell a catalog, the first thing I think is that the buyer of someone's catalog, how do you make money with the catalog? A, by selling albums. You know, usually when somebody sells a catalog, the first thing that comes out is the greatest hits.
Right.
Second, commercial use. And the biggest one that people were talking about was Future sold his catalog for mad figures.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, how do you get your money back when you invest? When you make an investment in Future's catalog, how do you get your money back? And then it started me thinking, is Future commercially viable? Like, I remember back in the day, Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog.
Right.
And before that, you did not hear the Beatles in advertisement. After Michael Jackson bought the catalog, the first thing that happened was they used a Beatles song to promote the Nike Air Revolutions. Say you want a revolution, well, wouldn't you know? And I was like, oh, so Michael Jackson is using this catalog to make money.
Right.
Now, I don't know if you heard or not, but this year is the first time, like the first part of the year was the first time that a rap album did not crack, what was it, top 10 on Billboard or something?
Right.
And it started me to wondering, is hip hop losing its commercial viability?
That's crazy, right?
And that's what we're talking about today. How commercially viable is today's hip hop? Like MC Hammer was everywhere. He was a commercially viable artist. And when you think about commercially viable, they're usually family friendly. Their name is recognized across the board.
Right.
And they usually have a certain level of positivity associated with their name and likeness.
Yep.
Who today, where is the commercial viability in hip hop today? Even in Future's early catalog, like let's say if the same setup is in place today and Nike's looking for music, who has the music that Nike can use to sell a product? Is today's content hurting the commercial viability of hip hop? And could that be part of the reason that hip hop is not in the place that it used to be?
That's a good question. And I think when you're thinking about people buying people's catalog, because as far as I know, I think Irv Gotti, not an artist, but a producer, got the biggest bag off selling the catalog. And
a lot of that music was extremely commercially viable, though.
The key word you said was.
Was, right.
Right. So and I hate to, kind of get off track, but at the same time, it's relevant to the conversation. Because if the music isn't commercially viable, then why are people investing in these older or even some of the newer catalog? Because I think Nelly sold a portion of his catalog too.
Nelly's another one, absolutely commercially viable.
Absolutely.
And just to use Nike as an example, if Nike ever decides they want to do an Air Force One commercial, he already got a song. Ready for that. Yeah. Let's take, all right, since we're talking about Nelly, Irv Gotti's people, just Ja Rule, Ashanti. Let's take their catalogs and think about what kind of music is in those catalogs and how far you can reach with that stuff.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Basketball games, you might hear holla, holla.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
You know, today artists want to sample and revisit the sound that Ashanti had. You know, there'll be plenty of remakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you know those are valuable catalogs right there.
Okay.
You're gonna get somewhere with those.
Right.
Now let's take today's artists, some of the biggest artists of today. Let's take Sexy Red, for example. If you got a product to sell, does she have any music that you would present to the general public to sell a product? If you're at a basketball game, now I think Ski Yee is probably the closest thing that would be a stadium type anthem. You know, so she got that. But outside of that,
right.
You know, I think that the content of today's music makes it hard to make that commercially viable.
Now, do you think it's the content of the music, or just thinking about the investments that those companies have made in recent years? I kind of think they made bad investments, and that's what's kind of pulling them back from making future investments
In hip hop.
Yeah, in hip hop. Like Nike gave Rick Ross a deal.
Like they totally forgot this is an athletic sportswear brand.
Right.
We made some shoes straight up for chilling.
Now, granted, Rick Ross went on his weight loss journey.
We made some shoes for eating wings in.
Hey.
It's the new Nike wing stop.
Yeah.
But you know, right.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at artists like Busta Rhymes. At one point, Busta Rhymes was the biggest artist in hip hop.
Right.
From record sales to quality of music to Mountain Dew.
And his
remember when he had that Mountain Dew?
And see, Busta Rhymes is where he was because he checked all the boxes. He had enough content that wasn't scary.
Yes.
To make you back off.
Right.
Like Fat Joe had a deal in the works with Nike.
Right.
Then he got into that public beef.
Right.
With 50 Cent. And they immediately scrapped the deal.
Right. But do you think that would have been a bad investment?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, this is no hate on Fat Joe.
No, by no means.
But probably.
Can Fat Joe motivate you? Can Rick Ross motivate you to go buy some Nikes?
Now on the flip side, you do have artists. Some artists still are commercially viable.
Ice Spice,
Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Travis Scott, Ice Spice. Those are two examples of people that are commercially viable today. But what is it about Ice Spice that makes her commercially viable? A lot of her content is, I don't think she goes quite as far as some of them other,
Well, Dunkin' Donuts gave her the munch deal.
I know. It's like, did they even listen to the song?
Nope. Nope.
Like,
they following the trend.
Yeah. The
TikTok trend.
Right.
But I still want to know, why are they buying these catalogs? Like, because first of all, I want to know, why are you selling your catalog? If your catalog has the potential to make this amount of money, why would you sell it?
I think, I don't know, man. For the money that they're getting, it could be a smart idea to sell.
To get
seller's market right now.
What is it, JG? It's my money, I want it now.
It's my money, I want it now. Because, like, here's the thing. Okay, let's take R. Kelly, for example.
The great.
His catalog, before he went to jail, can you imagine what his catalog was worth?
He should have died instead of going to jail.
Right, this dude, I Believe I Can Fly.
Right.
The whole Trapped in the Closet era.
Yes.
You know, just he got hits galore that across the board. He's writing for white artists, black artists, pop, R&B, everything. Mm-hmm. He's everywhere. Did an album with Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, that catalog was worth something.
Right.
But here's the deal. When you invest in a catalog, you also invest in the person. Mm-hmm. Because that catalog's worth will forever be tied to
the smear.
What they do.
Absolutely. And not trying to be funny, like I ain't trying to wish death on R. Kelly or nothing.
Right. But if he had died before he went to jail, then, you know, people would look at R. Kelly differently.
Absolutely.
And his catalog, like, you don't even hardly hear R. Kelly songs, and this is one of the biggest artists ever.
Right.
Not just of our time, just period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Like, they're going to talk about
he had the talent to go with it.
Forever.
Right.
Yeah, once he die, I think his catalog is gonna go right back through the roof.
Right.
Sad to say, you know what I mean? But yeah, look at Bill Cosby.
Maybe that's, you know what, you just made a good point. Why are people investing in these catalogs? Because rappers get killed.
Yes. What was
maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the answer because they seem to be worth more in death than life.
They paying their insurance. I mean, they already paying the claim.
Like, look at how much money Suge probably brought in. Just like it was like Tupac. Like, you know, let's take Tupac's catalog.
Right.
At the time when he died, he had 1, 2, 3 albums. Mm-hmm. But he had so much more music.
Absolutely.
That's part of the catalog.
Right. I remember reading somewhere, I don't know how true it is, so don't quote me, but reading somewhere back when Suge was in prison, back in the day, he sat in a prison cell and Death Row Records made $100 million.
Right.
While he was in prison. Nobody else was putting out music. The only thing that was out there was the Tupac stuff. And they grossed $100 million while he was in prison.
Right, but you can't forget that the Death Row catalog is bigger than just Tupac.
Absolutely.
You got Dr. Dre's work.
Yep.
You got Snoop Dogg's work. Mm-hmm. Then you get whatever portion.
Vanilla Ice.
You got Vanilla Ice.
Yep.
You got Daz and Corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, and
Dog Pound.
Yeah, it just goes on and on, man. Like,
ain't no Suge got a podcast now.
Don't be promoting Suge's podcast on our podcast.
Shit, I want him to call in.
He got podcasts. I don't know where you can find it though.
I want him to call in.
But it just got me to thinking. Like, if hip hop isn't charting the way it used to, it makes me feel like we're headed in a direction where the content is scaring off the advertisers.
Kind of like scaring them off from the promoters and stuff.
Yeah, the music hasn't stopped, and it's the same music it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
So what's different? Maybe people are getting a little bit scared. And the way that they backed off Fat Joe when he got into the beef with 50, when you think about the way artists beef today, that's one factor.
Right.
Then you think about the content, like the women that are coming out. How do you how do you sell a product with a prostitute as the face of the branding campaign?
Like who?
I mean, pick one.
I know.
I mean, because the culture, they're promoting the prostitute style culture, and this is not. I'm not making this up. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. They say, hey, you want to build me? It costs you this.
Right.
I want this. I want this.
Right.
Well, part of being commercially viable is being palatable for a large audience of people.
Right.
And not everybody wants to buy products promoted by a prostitute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a stripper or a gangbanger.
Absolutely. Because it has been a couple girls, female artists, who mentioned that basically they were promoting the Plan B pill. And I was waiting for the manufacturer of the Plan B field to give them a deal.
Right,
Hence,
but
Meg Thee Stallion, Lotto, there's a few of them.
Right, that's not gonna happen though.
Yeah, I know.
Because they don't want that association.
Right.
And but it's not like there have been drug dealers and gangbangers to make it to a point of true commercial viability. Mm-hmm. And even somebody who, like, we could even take Cardi B out of all those other girls that we're talking about. Take Cardi B. She's able to sell products.
Yeah.
As is Jay-Z, as is Snoop Dogg. Mm-hmm. So you have the drug dealer, the gangbanger,
and the
stripper.
Yeah.
But what you see in those three people that you don't see in newer rappers is you see growth and a maturity as they go through their thing.
So take Cardi B out of it, yeah.
Well, no, she has grown because listen, I say
Bongos.
I feel you, but what I'm saying is when she talks about some of the things she did, she never says I was right and this was what everybody should do when she's talking personally. And that probably goes like same thing with Jay-Z, same thing with Snoop. Mm-hmm. They have taken part in a lifestyle that their music may still endorse, but when they're off, when they're just talking, they speak as if this is behind them. And they're trying to be in a different place in life. And that was enough to convince advertisers that it's safe to invest in their brand.
I feel a little differently about that. And the reason why I say that is because, like, Snoop, every time you see Snoop dance, he crip walking.
True.
Every time you see Snoop, he got a crip flag and he got on blue.
That is true.
What's understood don't have to be talked about. And Jay-Z, he's the exception to that rule because Jay-Z's music and everything about Jay-Z says, I left Marcy Projects behind.
Right.
And Jay-Z commands so much from business that they don't have any choice but to respect that person. But when you mention somebody like Cardi B, and I already talked about Snoop, it almost seems like it's a ploy, in my opinion, because Cardi B represented what so many outsiders thought of black women anyway.
Right.
So why not get behind this and make it go as far as it can go? You know what I mean? Like, so Cardi B, like, bruh, like, to be honest, like, when you listen to Cardi, I've listened to Cardi in interviews and everything. Everything about Cardi B says ratchet. Everything says ratchet. And this is who corporate America stood behind when there are female artists out there who don't promote this, who are just as fine as, just as thick as Cardi B, who don't get the same promotion. Why is that? You know what I mean? like if Snoop didn't have that I think Snoop going through that murder trial is what catapulted Snoop's career. Because
but him getting off on that murder trial,
that helped too.
Right.
But Snoop dropped what was the track him and Dre did from Deep Cover, 187?
It was called Deep Cover. The song was called Deep Cover.
Yeah, 187 on the Undercover Cop. That was in the midst of him going through all of this stuff. You know what I mean? And him and Tupac even celebrated it by doing a track. What was
Two of America's Most Wanted.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And you know, I don't know. I just kind of think looking at, just looking at it from a different lens at my age now, I just kind of see like everything is systematic to me, and I'm able to recognize certain things. You know what I mean? Like Meg Thee Stallion. Meg Thee Stallion came out. I think right before the whole Tory Lanez thing happened.
Somehow she's commercially viable too.
How? How did Essence give?
Here's something. She like with her and Cardi B and Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
They represent a certain lifestyle, but they have this air of approachability, and I think that disarms the advertisers, the consumers. Whereas like let's think of somebody. Okay, you got Snoop representing Crip all day,
Right.
and somehow it's something about his personality and the way he's able to work the room. You know, he got powerful friends. He's friends with Martha Stewart and people like that. He knows how to play both sides. Cardi B knows how to present. Like, even as ratchet as she can be, she still has this side of her where she's showing, I'm just trying to raise my kids and I don't want to be, And I think that is enough to make them look the other way to all the stuff that they said and been a part of. You see what I'm saying? Like, Jay-Z doesn't do that, but to your point, he is the one that seems to have left Marcy Projects all the way behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Snoop and Cardi have a personality that I think disarms people.
Yeah, I can somewhat agree with that. Definitely. Yeah, I can somewhat agree with that.
You put both of them in their element without all this going on. Snoop might kill you. And Cardi might drug you and take your money.
So what I was gonna say was, why didn't Snoop Lion last? Why didn't Gospel Snoop last?
Maybe it was just strictly. Maybe the album wasn't good.
Or maybe because in those avenues he wasn't living up to the stereotype.
And also, like, you gotta think. The same way that hip hop knows an imposter, you don't think that gospel fans can tell that Snoop ain't walking the walk, he's just talking the talk on these songs.
But they accept the Mace.
Not really.
Huh?
Not really.
Man, Mace had a following in the gospel world. Murder Mace. Even after he came back to hip hop and went back to the church.
But he also was preaching.
Yes.
And Snoop is not a preacher.
No.
You see what I mean?
No.
And I think that anybody who's a fan of any genre knows an imposter. That's why country music didn't accept Nas X.
Right.
Lil Nas X.
And that's why Jesus,
because they know this is I can think of a million different songs that cross over, but the artist is not really a true part of that genre. It just has a hit. Yeah. And the fans of that genre don't fully embrace that artist as part of their culture.
Right. Oh, they flat out said it about Lil Nas X.
Yeah, it's the same thing with same thing. I guess that's kind of Snoop, Kanye, their gospel albums. It's like, come on, man, you could put a gospel album out, but if you drop a song the same year where you're talking about having sex with a model who bleached her tail, if you get bleach on your T-shirt while you sample a gospel song, like, that's not, like, you're immediately saying, don't pay no attention to what I said. That ain't what I'm really about. And I think that, same thing for Snoop. He made that, but, he's only two lyrics away from bitch. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the people, true fans of the genre, they see that and they're not gonna take it seriously.
Right. Kanye led with Jesus Walks.
Right. He came out with Jesus Walks, but since then he's proven himself to not be of that life all the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, shoot. He went from Jesus Walks to out here getting indecent exposure charges while he get serviced on a boat with his new wife. You know, like that don't go together. And no true gospel artist is gonna keep right on supporting that guy.
Right. Right.
You know. And that's across the board. So where I think that hip hop right now has a content problem more than anything. Like when I think about who is commercially viable as we, with 50 years of hip hop.
Right.
And we've watched a lot of people come and go. And there's always been certain artists that were more commercial than others. And I don't mean just getting played on the radio. They were the ones that got the deals.
Right.
Run DMC, first ones signed, they got a check from Adidas. MC Hammer got a check from everybody.
Yes.
Young MC was able to do it.
Right.
So, like, take the West Coast where a lot of this business is happening. NWA wasn't getting that.
Right.
2 Live Crew wasn't getting that back then. So content mattered back then. That's why Young MC was getting in Too Short wasn't.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to imagine that over time, especially as hip hop crossed over and became the language of America way back in the late 90s when everything was sounding hip hop and hip hop stations were beating out country stations in markets and everybody was listening to hip hop. But at that time, that's when you had artists like Nelly and like even Soulja Boy. We talked about Soulja Boy earlier.
Right.
Soulja Boy was absolutely commercially viable.
Absolutely.
Like there was, love him or hate him. You could take 3 songs off his album and he didn't even need a clean version.
Right. So
he doesn't have to, he knew coming into the game that he's thinking beyond the streets. I want kids to be able to listen to it. I want old people to be able to listen to it.
Right.
I want families to be able, you can listen to Soulja Boy's album in your car back in the day.
It's a shame how Soulja Boy turned out. Yeah, it's a shame.
He didn't, he was the last, that era was the last time hip hop was all about just straight up fun.
Right.
Dancing, having fun. And we talk about on one of our podcasts, one of our earlier podcasts talked about the different eras that hip hop went through. And you can kind of tell those eras by what MCs were focusing on. Well, it started off about the party, having a good time, dancing, move your butt.
Right.
And that's what Soulja Boy was about when he came out,
Right.
It was good party music.
Yes.
And it was it was as wholesome as it could be considering
right
the other things you had available to listen to.
Right. Right.
There was your kids could listen to Soulja Boy.
Absolutely. I think Soulja Boy is more impactful for the Atlanta music scene than Gucci Mane. And I think Gucci's the king. But I think Soulja Boy give all the credit to Gucci. Like he always say all he listened to was Gucci. But Soulja Boy lying. He listened to more than Gucci if he came out with the music he came out with initially.
Yeah.
He had to.
Yeah, but for what it's worth though, man, that was, ever since then, like he started a little run of music, like the Travis Porter, the Roscoe Dash,
right?
Swag Surfing was part of that era. All of this stuff happened. DJ Unk,
right?
Walk It Out. Who was the other? The Franchise Boys. It was fun music.
Absolutely.
And the club was fun, and hip hop was fun for a little while. And if you look at the music that Kanye made during that time period, it was fun. And all of those guys were commercially viable at the time.
Right.
Because they didn't have questionable, they always say you judge a tree by its fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if the artist is the tree, the music is the fruit.
Mm.
And the fruit was good. You could give it to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Today, this fruit, you can't give it to everybody. Some people, it'll give them an upset stomach or a headache.
Right.
Or diarrhea.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
back then, there was a lot of music that you could give to anybody. Anybody could stomach it. It's like, I'm not a big fan of hip hop, but this is not too objectionable. I'll accept this.
Right.
And that's gone now.
Now, as big as of an artist as Drake is, do you think Drake is commercially viable?
He was commercially viable from day one, but as time has progressed, he's evolved into, or should I say devolved, into somebody that I don't think he cares whether he's commercially viable anymore. Right now, the most important thing for Drake is to stay relevant.
Stay relevant.
So he's allying himself with people who are not commercially viable.
Right.
But he doesn't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
He has 10 years of commercially viable stuff that's going to withstand the test of time. As long as he doesn't kill somebody, rape somebody, or do anything outlandish, he's going to be fine. He's another one that has that personality. So when he says questionable stuff, he's kind of because he can sit down and talk the talk with the right people. And in general, he has a high favorability rate. Just like I said, just like Snoop, just like Cardi B.
Mm-hmm. I give you that.
Yeah, they just have to appear that they won't hurt you in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what, that's the key to being commercially viable.
Mm-hmm.
There have been plenty of other big artists. I think that may be the problem with Gucci Mane. Why you don't see him everywhere. He's been here forever.
Yeah.
But he's just not that household name.
Yeah.
Because he never quite got to that point where you feel like, where everybody can feel safe around Gucci Mane. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And now, as far as I know, I don't even know if he actually went, but I don't think Gucci has ever done a tour outside the United States.
Really?
Yeah. Most of the countries won't even let him come there because of his criminal record.
There's a possibility that he may not be allowed to leave.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's why he's in the track where he did with Drake. He was like, Drake said he could pull some strings to get him into Canada. Now, if they let Gucci Mane into Canada, I feel like I was racially profiled because the first couple times I went to Canada, they gave me hell.
Really?
And I don't even have no felonies. You know what I'm saying?
So what was the problem?
They couldn't tell me.
So you can't get into Canada?
No, I can get into Canada, but the first couple times I went, I think they put me on the okay list, But the first couple times, because of some stuff in my past as a kid, you know what I'm saying, they would keep asking me the same question over and over. And I'm like the first time I went, the person I went with, they was actually scared. Called my mom, like, look, they won't let him come and they won't let me talk to him. It took like 3 hours.
Hey, they're just trying to keep Canada safe.
Absolutely. Like, I don't fault them, but yeah.
Let me find out you dangerous.
Man, that's what I thought.
I'm going to have to bring security in here.
So, yeah, I know some people to this day that cannot go to Canada. Straight turn them around at the border.
Well, hey,
so
the stuff that goes on in America is frowned upon in a lot of other places.
Absolutely.
The things that we accept and allow. So what do you think, man? Are we in a place now where hip hop is losing its place as the language of the land because we have totally submitted to the dark side?
Yes.
I think we've gone all the way dark at this point.
The Illuminati that they talked about for so many years. Everybody want to be a part of the Illuminati.
As positive as J. Cole's always been, he gets on the record with Dirk and says, Dirk said he been thinking some positive stuff. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to catch a body. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
So even J. Cole and Drake, who are possibly the friendliest of our artists, have gotten to a place where they starting the darkness is starting to take over.
Right.
You see?
Right. That's crazy.
And when that happens to the people that we depend on, like what's going on in the world?
Jeez.
Like Beyonce's album got to have a clean version.
Right.
Like, what is that? What is that?
R&B.
Did Diana Ross ever need a clean? Because like when you think about Beyonce, you compare her to the previous divas, Diana Ross, Janet Jackson. You know,
right? Them.
They didn't need clean versions. So this is where we are in our music.
Right.
That you need a clean version. You can't even just grab a song off the album, put it in a commercial without cleaning it up.
Absolutely. Because she got that boy from Marcy.
I mean, you know, hey,
yeah.
I don't know where to point the finger.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's a problem. That's a problem because when you're selling, like, here's the thing. First, you have to think about children. And I know that hip hop isn't necessarily for kids, but there has to be some way for them to take part in this experience without being exposed to something you don't want them exposed to yet.
Jules TV.
What's it called?
Jules TV. JOOLS TV. Every hip hop, I'm not gonna say every hip hop, every popular hip hop track that you probably could hear on the radio, they have took it and flipped it into something that's educating for the kids.
Oh, kind of like how Disney used to clean stuff up, make Disney versions of songs.
Right, but they did it. They kept it hip hop. What's the Meg song? Body yaddy 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 yaddy. They took that joint and made it about cleaning your body, taking care of yourself. Same hook, same cadence, same similar beat, but they made it for the kids.
And you know something? I actually believe that had the original song come out and been about taking care of your body, yaddy, 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 probably would have still been a hit.
What? It would have been a commercial. What?
Right.
Colgate, Crest.
Can you? I can see girls in the club right now talking about how clean they are. Ooh, my body's so clean.
Right.
And body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. But, so the opportunity missed.
Absolutely. That was a hit no matter what the content was. It was a hit.
And here's the thing. Commercial, when you think commercial, you think selling something. If you make something that is acceptable to the parents, they will buy it for their kids.
Absolutely. Yep.
You see, like I could DJ at a church, and I can play Silento, Whip, Nay Nay. I can play Soulja Boy. I can't play Sexy Red, Ice Spice,
right?
Cardi B,
right?
None of that. Even if you clean it and take all the curse words out, what you're talking about, I cannot play for every group.
Right.
But you go back to that certain era, and I can. So we got to get back to making music that is acceptable for everybody. And it's not going to take anything from you as an artist.
Right.
You know, because we had this conversation in the earlier podcast too. The people that you're trying to sell to, when you're taking the absolute lowest road, the low road instead of high road, they'll make you hide in the streets, but they're not going to put money in your pocket.
No. Right.
So artists, if you really want to get to the money, get to the people with the money.
Right.
And the majority of people that have money
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna support that.
Right.
Give them something they can support. 50 Cent, as gangster as he was, like he knew to make 21 Questions.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew he did In the Club, he knew not to make this song so vile and vulgar that it can't be used.
Right. I just had this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago. If you look up 50 Cent music, you actually got to look for the explicit version. Because if you look it up on YouTube,
it's all edited.
It's all edited.
Smart. That's smart.
Hell yes.
Because now by default,
right,
the default for his presentation of his brand is for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The exception is for street people.
Absolutely. Yep. If you don't believe what I'm saying, just try it. Google YouTube 50 Cent.
I believe it. It sounds like smart marketing to me.
Absolutely.
Because if I type up if I type up 50 Cent In the Club, you got to think, man, this is one of the biggest hits ever. Not just in hip hop. It was a huge hit, period. Mm-hmm. If the only thing that pops up is the dirty version, you're limiting the reach that song can have, and its future impact is forever limited.
Right.
By the language used.
Right.
And now if you can clear that up by simply just making the clean version available. Mm-hmm. And who's going to say, man, I don't want to hear that song no more because he ain't cussing? Who said that?
Right. Nobody.
Said nobody ever.
Right.
That's how, and artists, every song that's dirty and grimy is just a few small decisions away from being commercially viable to everybody. Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about how Annie Up,
right? How
strong that song is still to this day. Mm-hmm. It's probably gonna make MOP comfortable for a long time.
Absolutely.
It's a song about robbery, but it's the content isn't so terrible,
right,
that it can't be cleaned up enough to be viable across the board.
Like, I could be wrong, but I don't even think, even in the remix with Busta and Remy, I don't think nobody cursed in the track.
I mean, you get all your usual suspects, the N word here and there, but it's the way that those raps are performed. It's easy to take those words out and lose zero impact. It doesn't impact the song at all.
And the first person who I remember who took and flipped his tracks to make it radio friendly without losing. Well, you didn't have to cut anything.
Ooh, Old Dirty.
Old Dirty.
Old Dirty. Old Dirty. I know you were going there.
Yeah.
Hey, but before we get on Old Dirty, I want let's take Annie Up again. Mm-hmm. He goes, bow, hold that, bow, hold that. The dirty version is bow, nigga, hold that, bow,
right.
nigga. But you can just take the N word right out of there.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact the song at all.
Miss nothing.
And it arguably works better.
Right. It's spot on.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You see, and
but other than that,
and you don't change the content of the song.
Yeah. Is there any other cursing in the track?
I mean, there is, but it's not, like I said, it ain't that serious. It's the kind of stuff where you take it out, you don't even miss it.
Yeah,
you don't miss it.
I gotta find it now.
And then a song like Annie Up doesn't scare the general consumer because they've already become accustomed to robbery music. Mm-hmm. Like there've been songs about heists,
right, for
so long. Johnny Cash was writing songs about heists. Bob Marley, I shot the sheriff. Right. It's like there's always that. That's just it falls in line with that. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's not as scary because it's already been done.
Right.
And this is hip hop's version or take on the same music that's already been accepted. So, there's no eyebrow raising. With Old Dirty, the cool thing about Old Dirty is he would just re-rap the whole joint.
Right.
Instead of taking the curse words out.
Yeah.
He replaced lines.
Right.
And there have been other people to do it, but I don't think anybody is noticeable as Old Dirty.
Shame on the new. Trying to win game on the new.
Right. That's that mad genius that is Old Dirty.
Right. Yeah.
But he became commercially viable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
better have my money.
But he's another one too. Even though the content could be just as scary as gangster music on some of his stuff, it was the personality, man.
Right.
He didn't feel dangerous.
Right.
He felt safe and fun.
Right.
And that's the key to maintaining. If you want to have a gangster content, a street content, you got to figure out a way to appear harmless.
Right. 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 And I was always taught you better watch that fool that keeps smiling at you. Even dealing with white people. You watch the ones that's over friendly. Not the one who, quote unquote, treat you like an N-word. You watch the one that's over friendly. That's
right.
The real dangerous one.
That's the threat. Well,
that was dope.
We need our commercial viability back for hip hop to claim its spot at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need artists that can make music that the streets enjoy, but can also be listened to on the way to church.
Mm-hmm.
Something you can play for your kids.
Right.
And that's what's missing right now. And every time that any genre experiences a wave of success that lasts a long time, where everybody's doing things one way, the person that figures out the way to go another direction
right.
is going to win and start the new thing.
Last thing, one person we forgot.
Who?
Trick Daddy.
Trick Daddy was another one.
Great.
But how commercially viable was Trick Daddy though?
What's the track I'm thinking about?
I'm a thug.
I'm a thug. That was everywhere.
It was, but see, he used that same disarming method by having the kids in the chorus. I'm a thug. Yep. And it gives, it's disarming.
Yep.
It's like, I'm a thug.
Right.
But I'm for the kids.
I'm for the kids.
I'm for the kids.
That little Bugle Boy jeans you wear, they polo.
So right now, I hope that anybody who listens that's making music, rappers who say anything on a track, the shock value is over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't get any shock value points anymore because it's not shocking.
Right.
NWA came out and Luke Skywalker came out talking about sex. NWA came out talking about violence. That was shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Today, it's the norm.
Right.
And what's normal is never groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be groundbreaking and find yourself in a place to be commercially viable, try that avenue. Try making something that everybody can rock with.
Bingo. Right.
We need our commercial viability back. Bring the money back to hip hop.
Absolutely.
Yep. Fill these stadiums again.
Yeah. I could go a little bit further, but I'm just I think we should leave it there.
All right, we're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
Yo, it's Capital City Podcast. I'm your host, Capital J, alongside my main man,
DL Glass.
Let's get viable, y'all. Get to that money.